So this is part 3 of my videos about Flint, right? Just my I'm sure there's going to be more stories about Flint to come. And I'll probably have to stop saying part 3, part 4, but this is my little road trip talking about Flint, memories of Flint here. I wanted to talk about the first time that I saw a gun, a real gun, in Flint. Flint is a very violent place, and it was always topping the charts of most violent place to live, murder capital, etc. This was always a big thing there, and something we couldn't really get over. And I think when we moved there, my dad, he was a rabbi, and he was an idealist. And he would go out and be very vocal about his opinions on everything. And a lot of times that can get you into trouble, especially if you're in kind of a racially charged place with high crime. Anything's possible. Well, the story goes like this. My dad, the great rabbi of Flint, good-looking, handsome guy. Not like me, I'm just a bum, but this guy, 6 foot tall, 200 pounds, just pure beauty, man. This guy looked good. And he got on the public access channel with a couple of other clergymen. I think there must have been a priest, and I don't know if there was a caliph or not. I know that he was friends with the Muslim spiritual leaders throughout the years and identified with Arabs, with Africans, in the same way that I do. We're all Semites. No reason to hate on each other the way that we see it. So he goes on this show, and there's like a Catholic priest, and there's a Protestant pastor, and there's just a bunch of different, you get it. And they're all talking about Martin Scorsese's new movie, which was The Last Temptation of Christ. Okay? And if you've ever seen The Last Temptation of Jesus Christ, you know that it's a Scorsese movie. I mean, it's got Harvey Keitel plays Judas. Friggin', Jesus is played by, what's his name? Elias. Willem Dafoe. I mean, it's brilliant. Sorry about that. For a hipster like me, or whatever, I guess I'm a hipster. This was one of my seminal films. I didn't see it until much later. My dad didn't have me watch it because there's violence in it and there's nudity in it. And he talked about how he didn't, necessarily agree with Scorsese's view on this, and he just gave the Jewish view, which is that, in his opinion, Jesus was a Jew, and therefore he's a relative. And Jesus was spiritual leader, and we respect, everything that Jesus has to say. But you know what? This is the United States of America, and we have freedom of expression. And you should be able to make a movie about whatever you want. And my dad, something he always used to say was, I would never burn a flag, but I will fight for your right to burn that flag. I find it disgusting. In the same way Christopher Hitchens used to make this argument about the Holocaust denier David Irving. I may not agree with you, but this is America, and you should have the right to say what you want to say. And the platform. And go for it. If people want to watch your stuff, great. Then the market will sort it out. Period. At least that's the impression I got. I remember watching him on TV, but I'm sure we taped it on a Betamax or something. Well, that night my dad was all super excited because he was on TV. And granted, it was local public access, Flint, but he was on TV, and I think ultimately my dad, like me, always wanted to kind of entertain, and that's probably what led him to becoming a rabbi. going up there, leading people, helping people, and being a voice for those who don't have one. I mean, that's what it was all about. So anyway, he comes home. He's all excited. He brought home a pizza. We're eating a pizza. My little baby brother, he was a baby, was asleep. My mom was asleep, and my older brother was asleep. And it was just me and my dad hanging out, drinking, grape soda and eating, anchovy pizzas, and which were hard to find in Flint, by the way. But my dad was from New York, so that's anyway. So we're sitting there chilling, and a call comes in, and he says, "Why don't you pick it up?" Because I think he was really excited, and he figured it was going to be someone saying, "Congratulations, you look great." So I pick up the phone, and there was a voice on the other end. It was like, "Is this Rabbi Reese's boy?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm going to cut you up into little pieces." And I said, "What? Dad, this guy said he's going to cut me up into little pieces." "What?" Grabs the phone, starts swearing into it. Next thing I know, my dad's making some phone calls. And before we knew it, the sheriff was there, Joe Wilson. And then the FBI was there, not long after that. And probably within about a week, my dad was out at the gun range with the sheriff, learning how to shoot. Got an alarm system on the house, new alarm system for the synagogue, and everything changed. My dad taught me how to use a gun. He also taught me not to use the gun. And that's been my credo, I'm not trying to hurt anybody. But like my father told me, in the Torah, it's very clear. If someone comes to kill you and harm your family, it is your job, it's your responsibility to take that person out. You learn a lot of things in Flint, Michigan, right? Class, race, guns. But I'll tell you one thing before I end this. The people of Flint, Michigan have heart because of shit like that. Because at the end of the day, 99% of the people there, okay, maybe not 99%, but a good solid chunk of them. I sound like Abraham now. When he's like defending Lot in Sodom and Gomorrah, and he says to God, "God, you'll save Sodom and Gomorrah, right?" And God says, "Why should I? There's no righteous people here." And Abraham says, No, there's at least 50 righteous people there. God says, "Okay, if there's 50 righteous people there, I won't destroy Sodom and Gomorrah." And Abraham says, "Well, what if there are 40 righteous people there?" God says, "Okay, if there are 40 righteous people there, I won't destroy Sodom and Gomorrah." 30? 20? God says to him, "If there's 10 righteous people, I won't destroy Sodom and Gomorrah." But there aren't. And God destroys Sodom and Gomorrah. So what I'm saying is, Flint is not Sodom and Gomorrah. God is not after us. The problem with what happened in Flint is that a company came in, a company promised a lot of things to a lot of people, a company made billions and billions and billions of dollars, and then made billions of dollars for Americans and for the country. And then these politicians decided that American companies can just get up and go build your factory somewhere else where you can pay someone a dime on the dollar to do the same job, even though inside that same country which built you, the people who built up your company, their children and their children are now left with nothing. They were never educated or put in a position to do anything but those types of jobs. And you set it up that way. The corporations run this. It's not just General Motors. It's General Electric, right? You know, it's U.S. Steel. It's these friggin' coal companies. They gut out the American worker. And then the people who run those companies